Welcome to Inside the Indians, your source for insider information on the Tribe. Stay with us as we bring you the latest about the players, managers, and people behind the scenes at Victory Field. Now here's your host, the longtime broadcast voice of the Indians, Howard Kellman.
Hi everybody, I'm Howard Kellman and welcome to Inside the Indians. On today's show, we'll talk with Greg Brown. Greg Brown has been a broadcaster for the Pittsburgh Pirates since the mid-1990s. He has several different analysts he works with. We'll be back to talk about all that with Greg after these words. Pirates longtime broadcaster Greg Brown, our guest on Inside the Indians. Greg, how you doing?
Howard, I'm doing great. We're out west. The weather's beautiful. The team, not so great, but it's been a lot of fun watching some of the prospects arrive over the last few days, so that's always fun.
One guy is Roansy Contreras, who has terrific stuff and has a chance to be a fine major league pitcher.
Yeah, it was interesting because when he came, he was with the team basically because of some injuries, because of a roster crunch. He started the season out with the big league club and made 3 relief appearances. And his last outing, I want to say it was 3 scoreless, but it was dominant out of the bullpen. And it was a real disappointment for many fans, many of us, when the Pirates decided to option him back down to the minor league to Indy. And we were told it was because they wanted to stretch him out because, as you know, Howard, having seen him, he's a different cat. I mean, he's got truly electric stuff, the capability of being a dominant starter in the big league. So it made sense after they explained that to us. And we weren't expecting, at least I was not, his return to be as quick. I want to say maybe 3 starts down there. You would know better than I, but I think 3 starts down there at Indianapolis. And when he came up, Howard, the other day to make his first start of the year for the Pirates, second in the big leagues, it was a quick 1-2-3 first inning. I was on the radio side with Bob Walk. And we went to the commercial break, and I took my headsets off, and I looked at Bob, and he looked at me, and I said, "Oh my goodness gracious!" Like that is. In fact, I yelled it in the booth. The microphones were off. We're in a commercial break, and Bob and I, our director of broadcasting, Mark Garda, and our engineer, Doran Check, and I basically yelled, "Ladies and gentlemen, that is a legitimate major league starting pitcher." And I think he went 5 innings, and it just, as you know, there's just something different about him. That's really exciting.
That's terrific. We have good young players. You got Cal Mitchell is another guy who was recently called up, and we have a lot of good young players in Indianapolis and in Altoona too.
And that's what's exciting. I think that's what keeps Pirates fans' hopes alive, knowing that the farm system has started to develop some legitimate major league talent. One of the things that Ben Cherington said, the first thing he said when he came on board was that the Pirates needed to replenish that minor league system with talent and continue to do that. And although the major league club has certainly struggled, including this year, we're just starting to see the fruits of that labor get to the major leagues. Cal Mitchell, another guy. I'll go back to my conversation with Bob the other day when he made his debut. I said to Bob, and I said this on the air, Howard, I don't know what made me. I'm doing the radio game, and he was at the plate and had an extended at bat. This is maybe his 4th at bat of his first big league game. He had already had his first major league hit, first major league RBI, which scored the first and only run the Pirates had against the Rockies on Saturday. And he hit a couple of ground ball fouls outside of first base past Tarek Brock, our first base coach. And I said, I'm just a fan watching these games. I'm no expert. I'm just watching baseball. I don't know anything technical about hitting. I know nothing technical about pitching. I occasionally look at some of the new metrics just out of interest. Might look at an exit velocity thing. Certainly you can't help but look at the pitch speed on the scoreboard and have interest in that velo velocity. But he hit a couple of foul balls outside of first base past Tark Brock, and I said, even that is different. Those foul balls look different to me. The foul ball on the ground, not a line drive foul ball, just jumps off the bat. And so those little things like Contreras, that life on his fastball, the stuff looks different. Cal Mitchell looks different. Even when he goes out to play the outfield, it looks different. That's exciting for Pirate fans.
Yes, it is. And the good thing is we talked about a moment ago, throughout the system, due to trades, due to draft picks, there are very talented players throughout the entire system who will be coming through Indianapolis and to Pittsburgh soon.
Yeah, and rumor has it, as we recorded this interview, that Tucupita Marcano is coming up, that Yoshi Tsutsugo, the Pirates' first baseman / designated hitter, has, I think, some kind of back issue. So and earlier, Daniel Vogelbach, a couple days ago, went on the injured list, which opened up the door, essentially, for Cal Mitchell, because now, as Derek Shelton told us, he can Vogelbach had been the exclusive DH, but now that Tsutsugo apparently will be going on the IL, they'll just rotate guys, and that gives some other opportunities. Michael Chavis will likely play some first base. Marcano. We saw Rodolfo Castro is getting a ton of playing time at shortstop, which he had not played at the big league level, and apparently had just started playing it really down there at Indianapolis with you guys, Howard. And so he's an exciting player. We saw him last year. We're starting to see some of the pitching, the position players throughout the system. We're kind of watching what's going on, obviously, with O'Neill Cruz, with Mason Martin, with Kanan Smith and Jigba. We're watching what's going on down there. We're watching what's going on at the AA level with Altoona and all the talent that they have with the curve. We're watching, hopefully, knock on wood, Henry Davis is back real soon, because it won't be long before he's up at AAA and before too long then the big leagues. As the season started, we asked some people in the Pirates organization, who can we look at who might be on the fast track? And one of the first names that stuck out was Nick Gonzalez, they told us. And so he is just starting to come on. It's exciting to know that from, I guess you could say, really low A Bradenton, but certainly with high A Greensboro, and then double A Altoona, that seems to be, and I know you guys have a handful at Indianapolis, but it's not just like now what you're seeing, it's what's coming. And that's just going to keep coming up through the system over the coming weeks, months, and years.
We'll have more with Greg Brown. This is Inside the Indians. Pirates longtime broadcaster, our guest on Inside the Indians. Greg, I have to tell you, I watch your telecast, listen to your broadcast when I can. You do a terrific job. I do miss Steve Blass, though. I thought he was terrific as a color commentator.
You and me both. He's my good friend, and though I get a chance to see him off the air, it's just not the same. The guys that do the job now, they're doing a tremendous job filling in, basically, for those big Steve Blass shoes. Yeah, he's so unique. He's such a great person. He brings such great history, a love of the Pirates and the Pirates organization over 60 years, his involvement. He still is an ambassador of sorts for the team, so he still works for the clubs. We still see him around the ballpark on occasion. But a unique individual, Howard, in terms of when he was on the air, he was able to not necessarily dissect the game, and he admitted that. He said, I don't know the technical stuff, but I do know I've got stories, and baseball's filled with stories. He loved to say that's what, and he felt like baseball kind of is to a degree missing some of that, those stories. It worried him that the new things that were coming in, instant replay, for example, the challenging, he didn't like the fact that we have seen fewer arguments, quite frankly. And he said, that's where are the stories going to come from? And it's so true. And I think about that a lot. He's been away from the broadcast now since, 2019 was his last year. And so I think about that a lot when I start going down the road or ask my partner to pass along some of his stories. Now we still have Bob Walker, who's been doing this for about 28, 29 years. John Wayner has been doing it for a good maybe 15 years. And now we've added Matt Capps, a former Pirate closer, is with us on many broadcasts this year. Kevin Young, former Pirates and minor league first baseman for the Pirates. And Neil Walker is now doing a lot of ball games. So I really try and understand that the audience, they want to kind of stay younger, and that's a fine line. But I also know that we have a lot of longtime hardcore Pirate fans that are listening or watching, and they want to reminisce. That is part of the romanticism of the game of baseball. So we try and intersperse stories along the way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Well, as you said, Steve, not only a broadcast colleague, but a friend of yours, Steve Blass. And there's no question in my mind, was then and now, that he should have been the MVP of the 1971 World Series. I take nothing away from Roberto Clemente, who had a fine series, but Steve Blass won Game 3 when the Pirates were down 2-0 and won Game 7. You can't do any better than that.
Yeah, 2 complete games. And I say when I speak to people about Steve Blass and talk about the 71 World Series, I say it's blasphemy, pun intended, to suggest that he should have been the MVP. But for me, and you can't argue with Clemente, but my goodness, former Pirate manager Clint Hurdle used to say when the Pirates needed someone to step up, the team were going through maybe a losing spell, or a pitcher had been struggling. We need to put a foot down. Clint Hurdle liked to say, we got to put a foot down, or he did put a foot down. My goodness, Steve Blass put a foot down. Game 3, Game 7, complete games, those 2. Still the last, I believe, National League pitcher to have pitched 2 complete games in a World Series, including Game 7, the winning pitcher in each. So remarkable what he did. And his story is remarkable too. I also tell people, Howard, that I don't want to hear any excuses from players when they struggle. And now in this day and age in clubhouses throughout the country, unfortunately, they have more places to hide. It's especially true in major league clubhouses. I said it the other day. I was in the Pirate clubhouse with a gaggle of reporters, and looking around, there was not one player by his locker, not one. And I said, what are we doing standing here? This is crazy. They were off in the game room that they have now. They have now, of course, the lunch rooms. They've got massage rooms. They've got meeting rooms. So back then, of course, you couldn't hide. And Steve Blass never hid. So he was on top of the world after the 71 World Series, 72 All-Star game, one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. And then it went downhill. But when it started to go downhill, it's easy to find guys when you want to ask on a post game, want to find a guy to talk a little bit about how he went 3 for 4, or he pitched, 7 innings, allowed just a couple of runs, couple of hits. Oh, they're there. They're not hiding. But when a guy struggles, sometimes it's hard to find them. Steve Blass, when he struggled, he was still there every step of the way. And that's what I find so remarkable about the man, Steve Blass.
We'll have more with Greg Brown, Pirates broadcaster. This is Inside the Indians. guest, Pirates longtime broadcaster on Inside the Indians. Greg, you mentioned your broadcast partners. What challenges does it present to work with so many different guys?
They're good challenges, Howard. It's kind of fun because they kind of energize the booth, I think. It does that for me because I like to try and make things as comfortable as I and we possibly can in that booth. And so I look to try and direct. It's hard to direct the game because the game is the thing. That's where we go with it. That will direct us. But I do try and maybe ask questions of the player where he's most comfortable. So, for example, if it's Matt Capps, a former Pirate closer who started out in the minor leagues as a starting pitcher, I can ask him questions regarding that pitcher or those pitchers that are out there on the mound and ask him what challenges he went through in this. And then it works out great this year, by the way, because the Pirates have decided to go with this hybrid thing with their pitching staff where guys are serving different roles. They could be relieving 3 innings one day and starting the 2 days later. It's kind of a wild hybrid situation with the Pirates pitching, and Matt Capps went through that. Kevin Young started out in the minor leagues as a Pirates third baseman, transitioned over to first, tremendous defensive first baseman, worked and still does work with the Pirates minor leaguers. So there's a lot to talk about with him. Those are his strengths. Neil Walker started out as a catcher in the Pirates minor leagues and then transitioned to third and then went over to second base and eventually toward the end of his playing career became a utility player and played just about every position. So he can offer all kinds of dynamics in that regard. And so I try and also, by the way, we're talking about Steve Blass and history. That's also unique with Neil. His father, of course, played in the big leagues, a pitcher, Tom Walker, for many years. But Neil also can talk about Pittsburgh and history, and he's got a tie to his dad had a tie to Roberto Clemente, and he's very familiar with that. So it offers challenges. Each one offers unique perspectives. And as I say, I think for me, and I would think Joe Block would feel the same, that when you're in the booth with those 3 kind of new guys, it does kind of energize you because it allows you to go down different paths. Not to say that things are stale with Bob or John Wayner, because not at all. Those are also 2 of my great friends. That's the thing, too, that's great about this, Howard. Not only do I get a chance to go out every day and broadcast a game I love, just sit there and watch a game, but I'm sitting there with, frankly, 5 of my good buddies. That's what's really neat, because in this game, you know as well as anybody, boy, it can be tough. It's a grind, and you don't need to have someone in there. And it's that's in the broadcast medium. I think egos sometimes can be there and can get in the way, but that's not the case with any one of these guys.
You've been a Pirates broadcaster for more than 25 years. Do you approach things any differently now than you did years ago?
Wow, that's a great question, Howard. I don't know. I guess I'd have to really give that some more thought. I probably am a little bit easier maybe on guys than I think when I first came on board. I probably was a little maybe too harsh. I think as the years have gone on, I've gotten kinder with how I've approached my broadcast. I'm not as quick to criticize. I don't know why that would be. Maybe the more I've watched, I think when I came up from the minors to watch the game, I don't know. I guess I thought it was easier then for some reason, even though I've never played. Yeah, but now as the years have gone on, I guess I've realized how tough it is to win. Having lost a whole lot watching this team, I realize how difficult it is to win. And I think maybe I appreciate that more than ever. So that's probably what over the years, I think maybe I've gotten a little kinder with these guys.
Well, Greg, it's great spending time with you. We thank you very much, and we wish you continued success. You do a terrific job, and it's a pleasure to have you on.
Howard, it is always a lot of fun to chat with you. You're an icon. I love listening to your games as well. Whenever I get a chance to, I love listening to the Indianapolis Indians, and you give us our opportunities just to see what's going on in the minor leagues. That's a lot of fun to hear you describe the action as well, and know what's coming up to Pittsburgh before long.
Thank you, Greg. That's Greg Brown. This is Inside the Indians. Our guest, Greg Brown, longtime Pirates broadcaster, for appearing on Inside the Indians this week. Terrific stories. Always appreciate Greg coming on. See you next week on Inside the Indians.